This video is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com, where you can find cool stuff in stock.
Hello and welcome back to another day in the arena. It's me, it's CGB, and today we are looking at Mardu WINOTA by Michael Jacob, who top 8'd the recent PT with a deck nobody saw coming. And even if you are like, I play Mardu WINOTA every day, CGB, I don't know why you're so excited. I've known about WINOTA like this whole time. I always play General's Enforcer Judith WINOTA. I'm greatest. Well, I highly doubt you also had Raise the Alarm, Lazatep Reaver, Woe Strider, and Venerated Loxodon and Basri's Lieutenant in your deck. I will put it like this. I haven't seen this list anywhere else until Michael Jacob brought it to the world and smashed his way into the top 8 of the PT last weekend. So let's cover it. First of all, I'm going to introduce Michael Jacob really quick. MJ, as he is known to his fans, is also called Darkest Mage on the Twitch. I'll put that up here for you. Darkest Mage. If you want to find him, he actually did a really awesome series where on the same day that he played his matches, he did a Twitch stream where he went back and watched his own match VODs and talked about them. And I thought that was really awesome strategic content. A high-level player checking out like basically what he did wrong and what he did right and what he could have done better. That's always so hard for me to watch a VOD of especially when I lose. It's very hard for me to watch the VOD, so I have a lot of respect for people who can analyze that way. I wish I shared that talent. I would need like at least 24 hours before I could watch myself lose a match again, because I feel feelings a lot. But Michael Jacob is a long-time competitive Magic player. He started in 1994. He and I actually used to go to the same game store, and I would always, as soon as my games ended, I would try to find where he was. It was a very large area, so I could see see what he was playing, because the guy always brewed his own decks. The last time I played US Nationals was 2005, and Michael Jacob was in that Nationals too, and he almost made top 8, and I watched his win-in match for top 8, and he was playing a rats deck. It's like blue and black rats, like ravenous rats, chittering rats. It was a bizarre deck. And he flooded out horribly or no, it was a mana screw actually. He drew something like 10 cards without finding a third land. It was very hard to watch. But I remember cheering for him at that event. And I still, he's really good at Magic, and he does his own brews, and it's good to see him top 8 a PT here, and hopefully get some of the attention that he deserves. So, I've talked about Michael Jacob. Let's talk about the deck. Do we need to tune this for best of one? Like we did with the last two decks from the PT. We went through the list and then talked about best of one boarding, as somebody said it. Like somebody in my comments described it as one boarding, sideboarding for best of one. There is a Kenrith and a General Kudrow and then the rest of these cards. But the thing I want to highlight is that there's no removal in the deck. Like, we're not playing any removal. The closest thing to a card that you might want to sideboard is the Kitesail Freebooter. Because if our opponents are playing creature heavy decks, taking their non-creature card might not matter. So it's possible that the Freebooter isn't a very good card in best of one, and you might want to swap the Freebooter with something out of the sideboard. You might also wonder why there's no Legion Warboss in the deck. It's because it's red, and this deck is trying to play as few red cards as possible to avoid Aether Gust as often as possible. And obviously WINOTA can't dodge it, but and Judith is actually a very key card to the deck, as we'll see. But yeah, just something to keep in mind. Maybe instead of Kitesail Freebooter, you want to try a few removal spells like Heartless Act or Disfigure, but those aren't in the sideboard. The sideboard has an Eliminate, it has Noxious Grasp, it has some pick and choosings, some Devout Decrees, just some stuff to think about. For the most part, I think we'll run it as is, and the only spot I can see I might change is like adding Disfigure or Heartless Act for Kitesail Freebooter, so that we don't lose to turn 2 Priest on the draw. You know what I mean? And Steamkin, like I've just kind of lost to those cards on the draw so many times. But this deck is mostly unique for running 2 cards. One is Venerated Loxodon, which pumps the whole squad. and makes everything much more formidable without a WINOTA, where most of these decks rely solely on the WINOTA. The Elephant Jesus, and no, I won't stop calling it that. I still think that's humorous to me. If you don't get my humor, you should watch someone else. Really? Anyway, Elephant Jesus, the Venerated Loxodon, makes your force more formidable if you don't draw WINOTA, and Basri's Lieutenant can win games on its own. You can fetch this out of the deck with WINOTA triggers, has protection from multicolored, has vigilance, +1/+1 creature, etc. But the cool thing with the Lieutenant is if your creatures with counters on them die, you get 2/2 White Knight tokens. So, whereas this deck would normally be like, boom, here's my awesome board of things, and then the opponent untaps and wraths the board, and it's like, oh, I guess I have nothing. Here, if we have a Lieutenant or two, we get a whole bunch of Knight tokens, and guess what? Those Knight tokens are not human, so they trigger the next WINOTA. It's so sneaky, and it actually works better than I think people even realize. Doggo protects WINOTA. One Knight of the Ebon Legion, kind of an interesting choice, but I guess you just sometimes want that late game Mega Punch. There's also a Castle Embrith hidden in the mana base to make your tokens more formidable. And there's one General's Enforcer. I see most decks like this going really hard on General's Enforcer and Kudro, but those aren't the key synergies here. Judith is the beast, and with Woe Strider, you can sacrifice your creatures to get Judith triggers to either burn the opponent out or remove their blockers, and it's really exciting. All right, I've introduced the deck. Let's dive in. Let the nonsense begin. Ah, yeah, we on the play. But unfortunately, our hand doesn't have one of those 2 dudes for 2 mana cards, or this hand would be great. But I'm going to try it anyway. It's a bit slow, but we have tap land anyhow. At least it's powerful, you know? We've got this tag team that can shoot down some small creatures. We've got the Lieutenant. We got the Triome, so the mana is going to look nice. Triome to Triome to Triome. Next turn we have Woe Strider. Turn after that, possibly a Lieutenant. And the opponent with Growth Spiral, well, that's going to put them in a good position. Let's do it. Woe Strider. Goat achieved. We might be up against Reclamation, which is the main deck that Jacob tuned his deck to beat. Unfortunately, we're not aggressive enough, and we don't have WINOTA. It's possible that hand was just a mulligan, but I'm still willing to give these things a shot. Look at them go. I mean, their hand so far is absolutely perfect. Flawless in every conceivable way. So, the question here is, do we play into... Do we play into some kind of a counterspell? If it's the net decked version of the deck, they run a lot of counterspells. If it's not the net decked version of the deck, if it's more teched for best of one like I recommend, then it runs a lot of removal spells. But we can guess they don't have a removal spell because they didn't play one earlier. We could play the Freebooter, but we can't play anything else this turn, right? Oh, we can. We can play the Loxodon if the Freebooter resolves. If the Freebooter doesn't resolve or dies, the Loxodon's no good. This is a pretty tough choice. I suppose we should try to take an Expansion Explosion if they have it. This also goes right through a Negate if they have that. Doesn't get through a Mystical Dispute. You can almost feel their brain working overtime on this freebooting problem. And there's an opt, there's an... Oh, it's Flash. Okay, it might be a Team Rec version that focuses on the flash effects. Knowing about the Ambusher is pretty nice. Let's pump squad. The Ambusher is definitely going to try to take over the game, but at least we get some good stuff going. Well, if they don't draw a counter, they'll be in trouble, and they don't get a wolf if they play the Uro. So... things are complicated. We also have 2 creatures that can attack into the Ambusher, although the wolf is a problem. And it looks like the opponent's just going to pass, get a wolf, and not even use mana. Let's see. They can stack triggers so that they can use mana They get wolf first, then they use mana. Alright, so first trigger resolves, they get their wolf. Now Wilderness Reclamation, they can use some mana. Let's see what they decide to do with it. They can play both sides of a Borrower, I'm not sure what for. Oh, they top decked a Shark Typhoon? That's disgusting. That's actually really brutal. But they probably don't have a counterspell. So how do we take advantage of them? If we play the Judith, we can sacrifice creatures to do a little bit of damage. But it's not going to be enough to kill the Ambusher yet. If we attack with the Loxodon, they might trade it with a Shark. I think we probably want to play a Woe Strider and play another Loxodon. We can attack first and see if the opponent walks into the Brazen Borrower, or we can get this Loxodon onto the stack. Let's go here first. The Basri's Lieutenant's going to be really good once we have all these counters on things. Like, really, really good. Yeah, that Brazen Borrower is looking kinda awkward. The Judith looks, of course, amazing too. The more anthems we put on the board. I don't think the opponent's going to be able to sit back and do ambushy things for very long. Yeah, they're really in a tank. Like, what do I even do with a Borrower here? I'm gonna throw an elephant at you. We'll see what you do. Now this is whenever another creature you control dies if it had a counter. So that includes the goats. The goats give me counter. Give me 2/2 knights. Combined with Judith, that's so much damage. Alright, so the shark and the elephant fell in love. I mean, traded. I mean, the opponent's just sitting on this Borrower. Is there even a use for it? If you target here, it's like, okay, I sacrifice it. Who cares? Don't really need this. Or do I? I mean, I'm playing one or the other next turn, but I guess I could hit WINOTA, so yeah, we'll bottom it. WINOTA would probably be game. Now that Uro is still sitting in the opponent's hand. Will they play it here and forgo getting a wolf, or will they keep holding it? So far they've drawn exactly 4 land. Seem very well off for the experience. But we haven't seen any counter magic. Maybe they don't play counter magic. Alright, more wolves, more QQs. Another Typhoon off the top. And this time they go all the way up to a 6/6, so they're tapped out. Selfless Savior to go with a Judith. Well, Judith can make the Woe Strider attack better. We can also get a few triggers and try to take out the Ambusher. I don't know, it's interesting. The other idea is to get this on the board, which is so good. Like, we can put a +1/+1 counter here, attack with it. If the opponent trades, we just get a 2/2 knight as well, and we have another body on the board. This is tough, actually. But I think it's Judith Savior. I think that's the highest impact. Also, all of these can trade up. So let's get them in there. What you got? Oh, we're thinking. Okay, they want to kill the Woe Striders. Let's use the Savior to make sure the Woe Strider doesn't die. And let's go face, I guess. And then this is going to trade here, giving me an extra damage somewhere. I think it's fine. How about damage to face? You feel it. So they didn't have a counterspell last turn. They haven't drawn land in 2 turns. They've drawn 2 straight Shark Typhoons out of their top 4 cards. Now we see a Fabled Passage. We can kill the Ambusher by giving up our board. That doesn't sound like a good deal. Here's the Uro, so they're not going to get a Wolf this turn. They did draw land. Good. Starting to flood out a little bit. No QQ, so they don't have Expansion Explosion. So what are these cards? Might be a counterspell. I guess a counterspell would make some sense. Tempting. I guess, like, we could tap our board and go for this, and if the opponent counters it, we play the Lieutenant, and then we have a million 2/2s. That's pretty solid. Or we could attack and make the opponent deal. I mean, like, these are some really good attackers. What if they have another Shark, though? Last 2 Sharks they pumped out, like, using extra mana, so they don't have a Shark. They might have a Brazen Borrower. No, they would have played that too. They have counter spells. Well, if they have counter spells, let's just attack them. Not give them anything easy here. If they take 4 in the air and block, then they go down to 8, and then they go down to 4, but it's not lethal. Ambusher blocks. Ambusher blocks. You gotta love it. Okay. Down to 5. Down to 4. Alright. So we can get the Gigantha, or we can throw out some counterspell bait with the Loxodon. I think we throw the counter bait to them. They're going to get back the Uro, right? They're going to get back the Uro. But the Uro takes them to 7. They have 2 blockers. They can block here, here. If we have the Lieutenant, I don't know. I really don't know. What should I do? It feels like I should just get a Gigantha. They either drew like 3 or 4 straight lands, or they have counter spells. This I can actually play around a Mystical Dispute, but you'd have to not attack, which I'm very interested in attacking. All right, I could have played around Lofty Denial by tapping the Judith. I think I should have, but otherwise, pretty close. Pretty close to what we need to do. Here comes Uro. This is always the part of the game where if the Reclamation deck just keeps drawing good cards, they can win, no matter how far ahead we got. And you see it right now. The opponent hits a land off that one. Ooh, but it's a Blast Zone. It's kind of scary. And now they have the 1 floating mana, so their hand is like Mystical Dispute and maybe a Negate? WINOTA. Well, maybe next turn. Letting the opponent have 1 turn with the Uro seems okay. Or we could just go for this. I don't think they can hit a counterspell every turn, but next turn they will probably Blast Zone. But right now the threats are diversified. Man, this WINOTA though. Let's go for this. I think they'll counter it, and then we can go for it next turn. Yep. So, 7 life, they take 4, they go to 3. If they block here, and the Judith dies, they dead, right? Alright, so block here, they go to 2, block here, they go to 1, and then they take 2, they're dead. Yeah. Go for it. Like I said, if they still have all the goods, like if they have something up their sleeve here, we could get really punished for this attack. But if they don't, they're dead. Good game. Aw, good sport. It's a trick. It's a trick. They tried to trick me. They tried to trick me. I will not be deceived. Yeah! This hand is possibly gas. We need to draw 1 more land. Like, I need an untapped land so I can go raise the alarm and Loxodon or Judith and then WINOTA. Probably Loxodon. This is mono red. We play mono red. Nothing but mono red. Attack face till you're dead. There's the land. But we don't want to block the dodger. We want our 1/1s to get elephant powers. Oh, Cavalcade at its finest. Tempting to use that raise the alarm that way, but that ain't it. We're gonna be so low on life too. We're gonna be so low on life from all this. I'm scared. Hold me. We're going to need to like hit a Judith and a Woe Strider or something. Like WINOTA's gonna have to represent. Okay. That Torbrand's gonna sting. That Torbrand is gonna hurt. Alright, how to do it. We could play the Judith so that any of our creatures dying lets us take out their creatures. And wait another turn for the WINOTA. We could also have a lot of blockers back so that Cavalcade doesn't kill us on its own. And then try to set up for a better attack next turn. It would be really nice if we had a Woe Strider though. Or we could just not be a coward and WINOTA them now. We could go face and threaten lethal, but I think we're dead to a Torbrand, so I think sending the Loxodon after the Chandra makes a lot of sense, but let's think about it for a minute. Because what could we hit? We could hit a Judith and a Basri's Lieutenant. Like, is it possible we could just win? If these got Judith along with a Basri's Lieutenant, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 10, 16... So that's from 1 Judith, 1 Lieutenant. And I think that's what's reasonable. It wouldn't be lethal. Like, it would take pretty perfect hits to be lethal. So, we'll go like this. But it could be wrong. There's a Lieutenant. Let's attack your face. Let's put a counter over here. Or here. If it dies, we get a 2/2. Or here. It doesn't really matter, I don't think. I'll put it here. And the Judith! I'm starting to feel like I messed up. My choices were bad. Okay, so now we have to do the math. 1, 2, 7. 7 plus 6, 13. WINOTA is 14 from the Judith. Then plus another 5. Oh my gosh, it's 1 point short. Because it legend rules itself to create 1 Judith trigger. It's 1 point short. I am so unhappy. All right, in that case, I will take the Enforcer. 1 point short. You know what I should have done, though? Okay, that was a mistake. See it immediately. I should have taken the other WINOTA just to like pick off and kill one of these tokens. But I don't think they can kill me from here. Double Cavalcade doesn't do it. Yeah, they're attacking me. I'm scared. What you got? Maybe they can kill me. Maybe I don't know how magic works. Heartfire my face. Oh my gosh, do they have double Heartfire? They do. Rip me. I cost myself the game. I mean, that's so tough, right? Like, in hindsight, of course I could have, but what are you supposed to do from that position? Like, am I supposed to ignore the Chandra when a Torbrand could be lethal? Like, who plays around double Heartfire? 9 is so much. Alright, draw lands win, not draw lands lose. Easy. This is the aggro dilemma. You gotta just gamble. See? Look at that. Alright, I'm going to take the chance that I draw the untapped white source off the top like a true master of magic and get to Loxodon next turn. Scoos. My deck isn't that scared of Scoos. Wow. Okay. Bottom. I don't need to draw another one right now for sure. And I do want to be able to hit it later. off the WINOTA. WINOTA. Mono green, what you got? Your Vo. It's like your go, but your Vo. So this turn, I could play a WINOTA and get 2 triggers and throw my creatures away. I think that's dumb. Instead, I'm going to play this, and set up for a 4-pointer with WINOTA, and pass the turn. I also don't want to draw this Basri's Lieutenant. I kind of want to leave it where it is and then shuffle it back in, so I'm going to save the passage. Yorvo get strong. Yorvo attack, possibly. Let's find out. Oh no, not fight spells. God, those are making me angry these days. Mono green has better removal than white. I mean, ain't that crazy, guys? Mono green is way better at removal than white. Because green, you know, its one weakness used to be that it doesn't remove things. Now it's the aggro deck that plays removal. It has more removal than my deck. And I have 3 colors. It's some crap is what it is. You all know it. Alright. Let's hope this goes somewhere. Let's hope this does good. Because it needs to. Judith, nice. Whiff. Boo. Lieutenant. So here's what's up. Double Judith, it legend rules itself and it creates 2 triggers for 1 damage. So we get a free shock. Let me see. There is a creature in the graveyard, right? So it doesn't kill the ooze. In that case, we want the Lieutenant. And we want to put a counter somewhere. If we put the counter here, it's harder to fight. And if it dies, we get a knight, which is very important to making sure that we live till our next turn. So think about it. The opponent has some blocks that they can make. But if they do, we get a 2/2 knight each time. So that we have defenders. How much damage are you willing to take? So they block the Judith, and they take all that, which I think is right. They have to win this turn, and they have to do it through the WINOTA. 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 And if this dies, I get a knight because of the Lieutenant. So they have to do it through potentially 2 blockers. Might be too hard. We will see. I'm perfectly fine blocking with WINOTA too, because there's another one. Or even if there wasn't, I'd be able to turn all these creatures sideways and kill you. That ain't gonna save you. I'm calling it right now. Good job on your henge. You get to play a nice long game of Magic the Gathering now, but I don't. That ain't saving you. That's not how that's gonna work. All right. So they don't have the mana up for a ram through, so they can't remove this at instant speed. So let's play the other Lieutenant so that we get double knights. Put the counter on the Judith. And unleash hell. Another Lieutenant, yes! Alright, so what's the easiest block they have? They don't have any easy blocks. There are no blocks here that are easy. I guess they can make this a 4/4, can they? There might be a legendary creature in the graveyard, so we'll pump one of these. Tajik! Hype! Alright. Another WINOTA, but we could also just have this flyer, and now the opponent's like, I can't. I don't want to know. I don't want to have to block this board. It would be funny, guys, trust me. When they kill one of my creatures, like, so if I pick the WINOTA right here, and Legend Rule my WINOTA, I get 3 knights. 3 knights! And a Judith trigger. It's so gross. 2-land hand with WINOTA. Do you think we'll ever cast it? Do you think we will ever draw those next 2 lands? This is the hard part about playing the deck. It really can just lose to itself, but hey, look at that. That's a good draw. You can do this. We're ready for your Scorch Spitter. If the opponent spends their turn removing one of these, who cares? Yeah, you're too much of a coward to attack, aren't you? See, you guys might have picked this up in a previous video, but in case you missed it, when the opponent plays something and I know I can double block it, even if I don't want to, I start doing this to let them think that I'm like eager to double block it, like I'm just so hyped to double block if they attack, and then they're like, well, I'm not going to attack then, and I'm like, haha, gotcha. I didn't want to trade anyway. Gotcha. That's how I live my life. No trades. I go to my local game store. People are like, "You got trades?" I'm like, "No. I got fake double blocks. No trades. 0 trades." Now the opponent wants to rumble. All right. If they have Rimrock Knight, we'll just block here. It's more likely they have Light Up the Stage. They draw Claim. So I've seen, like, this is a net decked deck that got into the top. I think it got second in a tournament. It was a big one too. I want to say it was Red Bull Untapped. Somebody in chat, like, if you actually care, just look in comments. If I say something that's wrong, people correct me. Insanely, like, just so thirsty to correct me. But it had 2 claims in the deck, and I think that's really fine. It had no shocks and claims instead. I think that's really fine if everybody's playing Uro, but I don't think that's fine in an open field like best of 1. I want both of these so much. Let's go with the Judith. Let's go with the Lieutenant. Yeah, who wants to counter? You want to counter? Where are you going? Where are you going? We were playing a wholesome game of Magic. Mono red. Where are you going to? I keep this hand because it has 3 lands. I've only lost the 1 interesting game to mono red. That's definitely going in the video. I lost 3 times to never playing a 3rd land. So I'm done with 2-land hands in this deck. I think the best advice I can give you on this deck is don't get mana screwed, because when I actually cast spells, I don't lose very often, and when I do, at least it's interesting. Like that mono red game was very interesting. The one that I lost, to be clear. And it looks like we're going to play mono red again. Fun. Top deck Raise the Alarm goes good with the Loxodon for next turn. Let's go ahead and offer a trade. The opponent won't take it. There's no way they take it. They love their Steamkin way too much. They always love their Steamkin way too much. Robber? Sure. Now, dare you attack with both? See, they are scared of Raise the Alarm. They have 4 cards, we have 6, so they're going to get this Robber no matter what. They get a land. They are scared of Raise the Alarm. I don't know. Okay. They have Light Up the Stage. Like, their draw is amazing so far. 2 Bonecrusher Giants. That can be really good against WINOTA, by the way. But we'll play this. We'll do this. Actually, Bonecrusher Giant isn't good against Selfless Savior at all, is it? I'm fine. This is fine. Now, Embercleave, on the other hand, actually, the opponent probably gets to play their whole hand here because of Steamkin. Let's see what they do with it. They can double Bonecrush this if they want to, but we can Savior it. They're going after the pup instead. Okay. Just save this Loxodon. Makes your attack really bad. Yeah, coward. Scared of the puppers. What you got? What? Alright, we're really going to need to hit a Judith, but we should. There's 3 in the deck. Thin the deck with the Passage, so that naturally there's 6 land on top. Good magic. What did I tell you? All right, we did find a Judith. That's definitely a card that we need, so we'll take it because we don't want to trade down with the Steamkins with our tokens. And now we hit the Lieutenant, so we need to put a counter on something. With Embercleave approaching, the opponent's probably not going to block any of this. I guess the counter should be on the WINOTA. Down to 2. All right, you have access to 1,000,000 mana and 4 cards. Can you kill me? That's the question. Because you can't survive my next attack, and you can't even kill 2 of my creatures without Judith killing you. The party will begin with a shock to the face. Opponent did not pump the other Steamkin. They must have the Embercleave too, right? Oh, now they make mana? Oh, that's an oops. But we'll see if it matters. Bone Crusher your face. Okay. Down to 12. Everybody in. Down to 4. Ping. Well, the Judith ping wasn't lethal, so the opponent must have scooped. But that looked like the Judith did 2 damage. That was pretty funny. I mean, it's a 3-land hand, so I'm keeping it. That's what I've learned. Just as long as you don't keep a 2-lander, you'll probably win. Even if it looks slow and clunk. This hand looks really slow and clunk, but it just has this WINOTA potential. You draw a WINOTA, you win. Also, the Lieutenants are definitely down to rumble. Although this looks like I'm up against a control deck. Not a control deck, a ramp deck. And Ugin is a problem if we don't draw WINOTA. Do I scry for a land? I don't know. Our opponent did not grow Spiral. Do I scry for a land? If I land, I play a Lieutenant. If I don't land, I play a Judith. Both are fine. Alright, here we go. Put a counter on the Woe Strider, put a counter on the token. Let's put a counter on the token. Make it a threat. Make it do things. Opponent has gone 3 turns, no spells. It's pretty weird. Pretty weird in this format. Uh-huh. Same old, same old. Nothing I'm not used to. Let's go for a backup Lieutenant. Another counter and make double knights. I assume this gets countered. I mean, at some point... Okay. Ambusher? Ambush a Lieutenant? We still get 2 wolves. Or 2 knights, I should say. No? I don't know what's happening. Alright, so we're definitely sacrificing this before the next turn because we get 4 power out of the deal. Okay. The opponent kept a heck of a slow hand, and they're down to 8 facing a horde of creatures, so their combo better be to just straight up beat me somehow. Uro. Up to 11. Okay, might just be Teamer Wreck again. As we now see the red sources. I guess I'd rather have a land and play double Judith. And I know you're like, but Legend! I know, I want the 2 damage and the 2 knights I want it all, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Alright, I think if we play a Judith, it gets countered. So we need to bait our opponent. And I think if we attack first, they have to do something, right? Or they're dead. Sure. Fog. Good old fog. Alright. Let's try for a Raise the Alarm. What you got? Resolves. Let's try for a Loxodon. Pretty powerful with a Woe Strider. Resolves. Alright, then you must have a counter for this. You're dead then, I think. I'm pretty sure this works the way this goes. It's a non-token creature, isn't it? It is. I can only deal 1, 2, 3, 4-ish. Not enough. I always forget that part. I wish it weren't so. I bottomed a freebooter. Why did I do that? Fog. I mean, freebooter doesn't care about fog, though. Like, they just fog in response. It's not a big deal. Okay. That's game.
It's fragile. Cherish what little you find.
So we need to kill the Ugin. We don't want you.
Restrain yourself.
Don't think that when these get exiled I get the tokens. That's not how it works.
Proceed.
I'm gonna have an empty board. Is this fine? Is this fine? I think what I want is another Woe Strider. Protection from multicolor goes through the Uro, though. Alright, fine. All these knights, so cool, so awesome, so try-hard, so dead. But your Wilderness Reclamation's gone, so haha.
Creation can be undone.
What a joke.
All right, who's ready for a good time?
Opponent is committed to obnoxious magic. Play around Mystical Dispute, I suppose? Draw a discard. So you must have a Root Snare? Maybe? Do I go face? Yep, absolutely committed to obnoxious magic. That's enough. I've seen enough. I know I don't top deck like haste creatures or have outs from here. 4 land, we'll try it. Dude, the mono red is out in force today. I feel I've played against at least 8 mono red decks trying to record this. And I'm probably going to have to put 3 or 4 mono red games in the video. I usually try to get more variety than that, but it's just not there. Like it is literally not there today. There is no variety. Let's go straight to the freebooter and take their Cavalcade or their Embercleave. I guess I have to take the Heartfire. Or I could take the Cavalcade and force them to Heartfire the freebooter to get it back. I could think that's better. It definitely occupies their mana, makes them work for it. Yep. So if I block here, they can sacrifice the Arsonist to deal 1 to the freebooter, but I still want to get rid of this Dodger, so I'm going to take that block. Weird. That is not how I would have done it, but okay. Judy off the top. We have Raise the Alarm to kill these. And then our opponent is on no creatures, and then we play a Lieutenant or a Judith, and we're probably in a good spot. As we are in full, like, we are the control deck here. Trying to remove all the opponent's threats. Empty board, 5 cards versus 1. Who will win? The fact that it's in doubt is kind of bizarre. Let's get the Judith down. Perfectly happy if the opponent points burn at it. If they do remove it, it might trade with one of their creatures. Oh yeah, you can probably concede now. Don't make me pull out the Elk. Drew Chandra. This is essentially dealing 2 damage to me with the Chandra, by the way. 3 damage? My bad. Cavalcade play one way. Cavalcade only know one life. Savior with Judith is 1 damage at will. Get the Elk, the god of the Elk. Giganta, the most played of the Elk. Yep, enjoy your flood. May that happen to you every single game too. That 1 of Night, ready to rumble. All right. A little nervous on the draw. Are you kidding me? Every game. Every game. Let's do this. I'll shock for hopefully the opportunity to slow the opponent down. And there also is something, even if they have Shock or Bone Crusher Giant, there's something to be said for them having to spend their turn getting rid of this. Okay. We don't have a follow-up though, that makes me sad. Yep, we knew Annex was coming, otherwise the opponent wouldn't have kept the hand, so I guess we take the Embercleave. Yep, give me that. Hopefully the opponent whiffs off the top of their deck. Well, if they drew the land, they sure didn't slam their Torbrand as fast as they could have. So it must be a shock, because otherwise what are we thinking about? No blocks. Oh, interesting. Get you some tokens. Get you all set up for your Torbrand moment. We need more creatures on the board for WINOTA to be good. I think we have to play a Bassary's Lieutenant. Something that can trade with this Annex and help us defend. Let's also put a counter on this freebooter so that it's harder to kill so they don't get the Embercleave back easily. Yeah, there's game. Good game! That was fun. You went first. You played nothing but the best cards. Yeah, good game. Please, Burn, you like Burn so much? I hope your room burns down while you're playing the stupid deck. There. Take that one. On the play this time. I bet we play mono red again. I bet this time we win because we go first. Good game. Salt. It's salt. Some people can't handle assault. This is how I weed out. This is how I weed out the viewers who don't understand. They don't understand. I'll just make my WINOTA fly around the screen until the opponent decides to play Magic with me. We all know you're just going to turn one Fervent Champion anyway, dude. Who cares? Come on, let's go. Let's go. What? Temple of Silence. How exciting. Are we going to play something different? These freebooters, like, these are the card I most want to replace. It seems like most of the time when I draw them, it's pretty bad. Yeah, I guess we have to take the Oath of Kaya. But then if we play another freebooter into this board, they Extinction Event, and it's so bad. But yeah, that's the first play. This is going to be rough. This is going to be Sweeper Tribal with Exile effects. It's not good. So playing second freebooter means that when they play this and name even, we're just wrecked. But right now our whole hand is wrecked by that card anyway. So I guess I have to get Gigantha. Get Gigantha on the case. Alright, so now we can end step this Raise the Alarm, then play the WINOTA if they play the event. I guess that's not bad. They probably won't play it. Okay. They found their Oath of Kaya? That could be worse. So, we want to pick odd cards with this WINOTA. So that something survives this event. None of these are odd. Crap! I guess I hit the opponent as hard as I can, because freebooting them, what am I going to do? I can't hit another freebooter. They killed one. There's 3 of them. The other's in my hand. So I'm getting Extinction Evented next turn. So there's an odd card. At least we left a big old mark on their face. Now what? Play Gigantha? If we play Gigantha, they name odd, so we need to play an even card, so we'll play you. Put it over here. Pay 2 life, try this. Slow down the Extinction Event again. Alright. If they Oath of Kaya the freebooter, they still take a lot of damage. If they Oath of Kaya the Judith, they still take a lot of damage. If they Bolus one of them, they still take a lot of damage. The Bolus is the worst because of the Judith, right? Whoa. Alright, we're going to top deck like that, but we're almost there. In fact, if they kill both of these, they lose. So, they could draw a Shatter, but I don't think they play it. We just want to put all the pressure on them. Here's Gigantha. Here's a Knight. Get out of this if you can. Did you top deck another Extinction Event? Arguably, I should have held the Gigantha, because another Extinction Event wouldn't get rid of the Lazotep, the Reaver, and would have left me with a lethal board in combination with the freebooter. But the opponent didn't draw it, so I think I could have played that one a little better. And we are back for the post-game wrap-up, and the deck, I think, was about as straightforward as you'd expect. You need to draw enough land. I would mulligan any 2-land hand. Maybe I'd keep one with a temple, but probably any 2-land hand you need to mulligan. I lost most of my games to just not drawing a 3rd land. I lost a few to red. One I could have played differently. Maybe I shouldn't have lost it. The other I just went second, and my going second play was a freebooter, which this card did not impress me. It is good against Reclamation. It had some moments there, but is generally bad and should probably be Bonecrusher Giant so that when you go second, you have a chance. Because Priest of Forgotten Gods, Runaway Steamkin, and just basically the good decks will demolish you if you dare go second and they have a decent mono-colored curve, because the mono-colored aggro decks don't have to play a bunch of shock lands to cast their spells. The mono-colored aggro decks start with about 4 to 6 life more than you do. So generally racing them is bad. And that means that you have to have something to flip the script and get defensive. And I think Bone Crusher is probably a good one. So that's my recommendation, Bone Crusher Giant. The other thing that I might do that sounds crazy, but might not be crazy, is Deafening Clarion. And that's only, of course, if we play as much aggro, like just dump your hand aggro as we played today. Because with Deafening Clarion, you can always name lifelink if you have creatures. You can also have creatures that are too big to be Clarioned, and you can also have setups where if you Clarion your own creatures, you get Knights out of the deal. So I don't think it's crazy to replace the freebooters with Clarions and try that out. So if you are a cool kid, you still watching this video, watching the whole freaking thing, you're cool. If you are a cool kid who watches, which you are by default by hearing my voice, then you have some technology. Try some Clarions instead of the freebooters. See what happens. I have a feeling that might not be terrible. And with Tajik and General's Enforcer, there's opportunity in this deck for one-sided Clarions, which in best of one sounds really good. All right. Thank you to Michael Jacob for the deck. Thank you for watching this video. And as always, I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.